Large language models. How dumb are they? So I like to play around with LLMs, large language models. And recently there have been some pretty good advances in crunching these things down into a more manageable size. This distillation processor the data seems to get a bit mixed up. Um, now I have models I can use on my iPhone. I have models here that I can use on my MacBook Air, my M1 MacBook Air, and they work quite well most of the time. I'm currently using LM Studio to run these. You can see right here. And one of the questions I've been finding that gives some really intriguing answers, which kind of shows how dumb they can be, is a simple question, which country has the most time zones? So you would think that being a factual thing, it would be pretty easy to come up with. So this one I'm using now is Phi 4, which is the latest Phi model from Microsoft. And it gives, according to Wikipedia, the correct answer. I asked it which country has the most time zones, and it says, as of my last update, France holds the record for having the most territories in the most time zones, which seems odd at first. France, I think, as the country, just has one or maybe two time zones. But the fact that they have so many territories throughout the world means that they have multiple time zones. So, in fact, have 12 time zones in total. And according to Wikipedia, that is the correct answer. So there's France with all the different time zones. Next would be Russia, which you can imagine because it's a huge country spread out over a large area. Then the US, also with 11 time zones. Then Antarctica, Australia, I guess another big continent country. United Kingdom, oddly enough, even though the United Kingdom itself has, as far as I remember, one time zone, but again, with all the territories, it has multiple ones. So that's fairly straightforward, one would think, but the LLMs come up with some intriguing answers. This one, as you can see, is correct. Now, this is a larger model. This is 9 gigs, a 9 gig model. The other ones I have on here are less than that, usually 4 or 3, something like that, gigabytes. So it seems to me that the scrunching down of the distillation of the models into smaller sizes makes them much more accessible, but also dumber. It seems. I don't know enough about this process to make to give you a good explanation for that. Yeah, it's weird. They'll be fine. The smaller models are fine at most things. If you ask them general questions like, tell me about Robert Burns, it'll tell you Robert Burns was the national poet of Scotland and stuff like that. So factually, a lot of stuff is correct, but some stuff is just goofy like this. I don't know how I stumbled into this, but for example, let me eject this model. Okay, I just closed out of LM Studio. Going to open it up, start with a new chat, and select the Llama 3, which is a good one. This is a 4-bit version of Llama 3, 3 billion parameters. So let's start this up, load it up. It's loading. Okay, which country has the largest time zones? So this one says Russia is often reported to have more. That's true. It is often reported to have more time zones. The rule of 11. That's not a country with the most time zones. So let's try this with the DeepSeek R1, which is this is a distilled version of the one that does the reasoning. So it has the internal monologue. Let's try this one. And again, this is a smaller model. This is about 4 gigs in size also. Now it's thinking, so it's doing its reasoning. I'll probably speed through this because it takes a little while, or it can take a little while. So it's doing a whole bunch of cogitation here. there was a lot of thinking, quote unquote, and it came up with the answer of India, which I've seen that before in other models. I've also seen Ireland, which has one time zone. India, I think, has one or two. It's a big country, but I think it only has one or two time zones. Let me see if I can find India here. And again, I'm assuming Wikipedia is correct, but we can check another way too. So it looks like India has, yeah, according to Wikipedia, one time zone. We check Perplexity. How many time zones does India have? One time zone. So, yeah, I don't know whether it comes up with India having, well, it said India has like 28 time zones. No idea where that comes from. So, all this to show you just how goofy they can be. Even though this one reasoned the answer out, by a process that took 3 or 4 minutes on this computer, it's just not a good answer. So what are these things good for? I mean, is it just a toy? Is it just I've referred to these before as the name I found, a stochastic parrot, where it's just really, it's like a probability engine. It just goes through and does the text and figures out what's the most likely next piece of text to come after the last one. These thinking models like DeepSeek are supposedly uh, set to work around that by thinking things through, quote unquote. Well, obviously that doesn't help in this case. So what are these good for? They're generally not very good for like simple math, like doing calculations for some reason. They're also, they are good at, apparently they're also not that great at, factual information in some cases. Although other things I've asked them are accurate, even on a small model. So it's really strange. The things they are good at are stuff like if you have documents, you can load in a document and find things within the document, find patterns, find more than just a search function. It allows you to put stuff together in the document and come up with different answers. It's good for that. They're good for that. Also things like rewriting text. If you have, if you've written something, a couple of paragraphs, and you like to rewrite it or write it in a different style, write it as a poem, that kind of thing, they're good for that. And there's a few other things, but factual retrieval, especially with the smaller ones, the smaller language models, the compressed ones, doesn't seem to be very reliable. I'm not saying it's not good. It can be good. It just doesn't seem to be very reliable. So that's kind of disappointing. I thought they were beyond that sort of level of stupidity, but I guess not. So anyway, I hope this was kind of interesting for you. All right, take care. Catch you next time. Bye.